In the last lesson, you learned how to move freely all over the neck of the guitar by half steps using a technique that I call the half-step mobility jump. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how you can modify this technique so that you can also use it to move around the guitar by whole steps. And once we get these two movements down, the half step and the whole step, we literally have everything we need to recreate the entire world of harmony on the fretboard of the guitar. And so in the very next lesson, we're going to jump right into working with the sounds of our musical system, building the notes of any key anywhere on the fretboard. So let's get started. This whole step interval that we need is equal to 2 half steps. So on any individual string, now we're going to be moving by 2 frets. For example, if I start here at the first fret of the A string, playing this note with my index finger, then to move up a whole step, next I need to play the note that's directly under my ring finger. Then from there I need to move up 2 more frets, which is already beyond my reach. And so even after playing just 2 notes, I already need to shift up into a new position. I'll play that next note with my index finger. So then the next whole step up will be under my ring finger again, and so on, moving by 2 frets each time. And so as you can see in your whole steps practice, there's going to be a lot more shifting because the notes are farther away from each other. And you can use any fingering you like. If you play one note with your index finger, the next whole step up will fall under your ring finger. But if you play the next note with your middle finger, then a whole step up from there will fall under your pinky. And you can also be more playful with your fingering. You can use any fingers you like. The important thing is to see clearly these 2 fret jumps on your fretboard and just learn to calibrate the movements of your left hand so that you can land on those notes with whatever finger you like. Now let's see how we can move across the strings by the interval of a whole step. We'll do this using what we call our whole step mobility jump. And we can create this by modifying the half step jumps that you learned in the last lesson. Remembering that the whole step is just 2 half steps, if we already know how to go from one string to the next by the interval of a half step, then to get the whole step we want, we just need to go 1 more fret. And so returning to our half step mobility jumps from the low E string, if I start from this note I'm playing with my pinky finger on the low E string, to move up a half step, I need to shift down a fret and play the note under my index finger on the A string. This is our half step mobility jump. Well, so if this movement from the pinky on the low E string, shifting down a fret and playing with the index on the A string, if that movement takes me up 1 half step, then to get the whole step I need, I just need to go up 1 more half step, playing this note that's under my middle finger on the A string. But now we just need to connect the end points. What did we actually do? We started here on our pinky, and we ended here on this note that's directly under our index finger with no shifting required. And so this is our whole step mobility jump in all the normal strings. And the learning is that it's what your hand naturally gives you with no shifting required, just going from your pinky on the lower string to the index on the higher string. This is what the whole step looks like in all of the normal strings on your guitar. And so as you know, the same will be true between the A string and the D string. We can go from our pinky on the A string directly to our index finger on the D string with no shifting required. Same will also be true between the D string and the G string because we're still in the normal strings. But then as you also know, when we get to the special zone between the G string and the B string, this is where everything's going to be different. And so we have to figure out what is our whole step mobility jump in this special zone. And we'll return to our half step mobility jump to figure that out. Remember, the half step in the special zone is what your hand naturally gives you, just going directly from your pinky on the G string to your index finger on the B string with no shifting. Well, if that movement takes me up 1 half step, then moving up another fret will give me the whole step that I want. And so again, connecting the end points, we started here with our pinky, and we ended here on this note that we have under our middle finger. And so the learning is that here in the special zone, the whole step mobility jump doesn't even require the full span of your hand. it's just going down 2 frets on the higher string, which could be from your pinky on the G string to your middle finger on the B string. Or if you were in a different position, it could be the ring finger on the G string going up to your index finger on the B string. If you've ever played chess, it's the movement of the knight that goes up 1 and over 2 that might help you remember this displacement. But you can also remember it by just practicing it and getting that into your muscle memory and just learning what that feels like to go from your ring finger to your index finger, or from your pinky on the G string to your middle finger on the B string. And then remember, the highest 2 strings are normal strings again. So here the whole step will go from my pinky on the B string to my index finger on the high E string. And again, there's no shifting required. Descending, we'll start from our index finger, and to move down a whole step, I just play directly with my pinky on the B string. But then here in the special zone, if I start from this note that I'm playing with my index finger on the B string, to move down a whole step, I need to play with my ring finger on the G string. And then all the other strings are normal strings. So if I start from my index finger on the G string, a whole step down takes me to my pinky on the D string. If I start from my index finger on the D string, the whole step down will be under my pinky on the A string. And if I start from my index finger on the A string, a whole step down will be under my pinky on the low E string. And then just like we did for half steps, let's take a moment to practice just this final result that we're interested in, these whole step mobility jumps going across all 6 strings. Starting from the low E string, ascending, we'll go from our pinky to our index finger. From the A string, it's also from the pinky to the index finger. From the D string, again, it's from our pinky to our index finger. But then in the special zone from the G string, we'll go from our pinky to our middle finger. Or if we're in a different position, that could be from our ring finger to our index finger. And then on the highest 2 strings, again, we'll go from our pinky to our index finger. Descending from the high E string, we'll go index finger to our pinky. But then crossing the special zone from our index finger on the B string, we'll play index to the ring finger. Or alternatively, that could be middle finger down to the pinky. Then from the G string, it's index to the pinky. From the D string, it's index to the pinky. And from the A string, it's index to the pinky. And now we can use our new whole step mobility jumps to move freely all around the fretboard by whole steps, the same way we were doing with half steps in the last lesson. We just need to combine our freedom of movement in this dimension, shifting our left hand to move along the neck of the guitar, with our new whole step mobility jumps for crossing strings. So for example, if I start here at the 4th fret of the A string with my index finger, let's start by just moving up the A string 2 frets at a time. So next I'll play with my ring finger. I need to move up 2 more frets. I'm going to shift up and play that next note with my pinky. And now because I'm on my pinky, I could do the whole step mobility jump ascending to the D string. I can go from my pinky to my index. Takes me up 1 more whole step, and now I'm on the D string. And I can move freely around the D string. Again, remember using whatever fingers we like. And if you want to do another ascending mobility jump to the G string, you just need to make sure you're on your pinky, and then that note must be directly under your index finger on the G string. And we can move up 2 frets at a time. If we want to cross to the B string, this is the special zone. So this is the movement that goes just from your ring finger to your index. Now we're on the B string. From my pinky, I can do an ascending whole step mobility jump to the E string. to my index. Let's come down now. From the index, we can pass directly to the pinky on the B string. Moving down from there, I can play with my middle finger on the B string. And now let's do this other whole step mobility jump from the middle finger now to the pinky, going across the special zone. Then we can just come down the G string, 2 frets at a time. I'm on my index finger again, so I can do the whole step mobility jump downward to my pinky on the D string. Come down 2 frets on the middle finger. And let's say we want to do a whole step mobility jump downward now to the A string, but I'm on my middle finger, so I don't know how to do that. Remember our technique. We can always just place our index finger there momentarily to show us exactly where the note is that we need on the A string. It'll be under our pinky. Coming down from there, 2 frets. 2 frets more, I'll shift down, play that with my ring finger and my index. And from my index, my whole step mobility jump just goes to my pinky on the low E string. And so this is our whole steps practice. And I invite you to take some time to just enjoy moving around the fretboard of your guitar by whole steps. And then maybe on alternate days, you can go back to your half steps practice and make sure you can still see clearly how you can move around the fretboard by half steps. Because as I mentioned earlier, once we get these 2 movements down, we really have everything we need in order to build the notes of any key anywhere on the fretboard. And that's what we're going to do in the very next lesson. But all of that is built on top of a foundation of truly understanding the fretboard and being able to move around it comfortably. And so I invite you to just really enjoy this step. Take your time, have fun, be playful, and just enjoy moving around this beautiful musical landscape now by whole steps.